there any motions?
I'll move to suspend roll call, ready with consent.
Do I hear any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Do we wish to make any adjustments to the current appointment selection criteria? Hearing none, we're gonna move into deliberations. 3 minutes per open seat. There's 2 open seats, so that's 6 minutes total. Starting. Suspense. Starting now.
I first want to bring up Berkeley Morris. I think she was one of the strongest applicants of today. Both her interview this week and her interview last week were extremely strong. She has a very strong passion for service. I think she had, I don't know, her experience with her nonprofit, and she really talked about like having those like difficult conversations and maintaining both accountability, fairness, and accessibility. And I think overall like she would be a great fit on the Rules and Ethics Committee.
I liked how Jonah and Kylie both brought up some of their knowledge of the codes. I don't know if, the codes that they specifically talked about were necessarily applicable to Arnie, but I do think just having knowledge of the codes as a senator in general is definitely, important and really admirable that they were able to talk about that and the differences they want to make. So they seemed like really motivated senators overall.
They were both extremely passionate as well about the committee and their ideas.
I want to talk about Callie too. Kind of going back on that like whole motivation thing. The fact that she clerked, I think, is a really, really good point. So she definitely, has seen how the meetings work, and she, understands where she would kind of fit into that. I really like her idea on more intentional constituency as opposed to like coming and taking a picture and then leaving. So this is being like, I went to this constituency in order to connect with this group of people in order to, understand, how this organization works. I think that was a really good idea that we haven't heard before.
I agree, that goal box, I think that was like a really unique idea and something that I think could be like easily implemented within the constituency form.
I think, just going back to that, bringing up clerking, I think is huge. Clerking for committee, I think is really important before you join the committees. So, I also think that I enjoy hearing Luke and Kyle kind of discuss their passion for community service overall. I feel like Kyle really wants to do some initiatives when in the Senate related to community service, which I think is admirable. And then I think Luke also having that personal connection to mental health disorders and things like that were definitely interesting to hear about. And it seems like they're very passionate senators who want to get a lot done legislation-wise. So that was interesting.
I just overall enjoyed Luke's interview. I enjoyed listening to him speak. He's very passionate about what he says, and I think he articulated his idea as well and covered a lot of different things, whether that was like the precedent system. He seemed to be thinking out of the box with his ideas.
There's about 3 minutes left. Any other deliberation? Okay, 3 more minutes. 2.5 more minutes. Ooh, just gets me. Good.
Alright. I do want to elaborate on a precedent that I'd like to uphold, which is if someone chooses to resign from or is removed from a committee, then reapplies for that seat, typically we do not give that seat back to them. I just want to bring that up really quickly. I also want to go over, I thought all of these interviews were actually very good. I think everyone came very prepared. One of my favorite comments was from Kylie, who talks about voluntary self-reflection on constituency. I think that is something that we should try to do, even if it's not necessarily enacted as a student-body law or in the rules and procedures. I think it's important for senators to actually care about the constituency things that they're doing. I think that was really good to bring up. That isn't talked about enough. I've been very impressed with Jonah's work on rules and procedures revisions. Outside of the interview, we also brought up a lot of things that he is currently writing about. Knowing that he's pursuing that in a meaningful way is definitely a positive attribute. some of the ideas that were mentioned, have been in place or are in place currently. So if anyone's watching back on the recording and you would like to, bring your ideas to us, beforehand in general, I think it's always a good idea to spitball and shoot these things around with people who've been on committees before. And just ask. A lot of these ideas were very good, but there are a couple that have been repeated, so feel free to talk to us about those.
Any other deliberations? 45 seconds. Okay, hearing none. We will now move into nominations. Do I hear any nominations?
I move to nominate Berkeley Morris for the Open Rules and Ethics Committee seat by unanimous consent.
Do I hear any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes.
I move to nominate Callie Talgi. Okay, I move to nominate Callie Talgi for the Open Rules and Ethics Committee seat by unanimous consent.
Do I hear any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Seeing as we've completed the nominations portion of the meeting, we're now going to be moving into any motions on the agenda. Do I hear any motions?
I move to add all legislation approved by the Judiciary Committee by unanimous consent.
Do I hear any objections?
Point of order.
Yeah.
Where are you adding that to the agenda?
Oh, to first read.
Can you read it?
Redo it, yeah. I move to add all legislation
Point of
approved.
order.
Mm-hmm.
Do you rescind that first motion?
Oh, I rescind the first motion.
Perfect.
Okay, I move to add all legislation approved by the Judiciary Committee to the agenda under first readings by unanimous consent.
Do I hear any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes.
Okay, or
Sure. Sure.
Okay. I move to add all legislation approved by the Budget and Appropriations Committee to the agenda under first readings by unanimous consent.
Do I hear any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes.
I move to add all absences heard by the Rules and Ethics Committee to the agenda by unanimous consent.
Do I hear any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes.
Judicial legislation, budget legislation, absences, legislative nominations. I don't believe there are any executive or judicial nominations. Although we will have a lot soon. Yes.
Also good. Should we do a thumbnail?
Adopt the agenda.
Sorry. Sorry about the video. I move to adopt the agenda by unanimous consent.
Do I hear any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes.
It's so INC-per.
Seeing as there's no more business for this meeting, I adjourn this meeting at 3:14 p.m.